What a great bunch. I tell you, I'm so proud to be part of this outfit, now that it's turning out pretty well. Listen, one of my early mentors was a wonderful fellow called Sir R.V. Parbo, who's no longer with us, but he often used to say to me, what Australia needs is less compliance and more performance. Wonderful words. Performance is the mechanism from which we express the entirety of our lives. So that could be the theme for tonight, eh? It's Mancal's 25th anniversary this year, so we've been spending a bit of time examining our journey on opening the minds of people to different ideas and concepts and opening our own minds as well. In many cases, this involves thinking in directions not included in standard university studies. And over our 25-year adventure, Mancal has developed a great relationship with a couple of organisations, one being the Atlas Network. It comprises over 500 youth-focused think tanks all around the world. And that's why our Mancal alumni, through their travels, usually develop a strong relationship with the world because they understand what the hell's going on out there. Our networks are extensive, and that's why we feel the pain being experienced in places like Ukraine, much more than the average Australian normally would. I got 15 friends in Ukraine, and last week I sent an email to all 15 and I got 3 bloody replies. Mancal's also developed a strong relationship with the Mont Pelerin Society, which is a group of 500 economists and intellectuals, again, all over the world. This society was formed in 1947, just after World War II, when the world's economy was suffocating from so many restrictions and government controls. The world was suffocating to a point where recovery looked to be impossible, hence the creation of the Mont Pelerin Society, whose focus was on freeing up the economy, letting people run in their own lives and make their own decisions. The situation in 1947 was very reminiscent of now, here in 2022. Under panics and emergencies, we've surrendered so many of our freedoms, and it really is going to be tough to grasp them back. So from the Atlas Network and the Mont Pelerin Society, Mancal draws inspiration on how we can get back to running our own lives and accepting full responsibility for both the good and bad decisions. So really that's enough of history for tonight. But Andrew, Kate and Nicola have all mentioned the public choice theory course that we run at Notre Dame University. It's a very important aspect of economics, and it's in brief, it explains how bad policies come into being. The people that are going to get the concentrated benefits work their guts out to make sure if it's legislation or rules or laws are passed. And they design the costs to be carefully concealed and spread over many millions of people so they don't notice it's not a life-threatening thing in many cases. So it enables the people that get the concentrated benefits to get away with it. It's like a scam, a political scam. And recent events made me think we've got a classic example here with Putin, with his bad behaviour, concentrated benefits go to exactly you-know-who. And he's designed the costs to be spread over millions and millions of innocent people, not only in Ukraine, but in his own country. So it's a classic example of public choice theory and why it should be taught in all universities, but it's not. And I understand, I hear a strong rumour that UWA are contemplating taking on a course of public choice theory, and Mancal would be very happy to help. We bring lecturers in from overseas, and it's a very important aspect of economics. And one of the founders of it was Professor James Buchanan, and he told me when we were together in Russia in September 1990 with a team trying to train the Russians on how to handle free enterprise, Jim Buchanan said to me, "Ron, this is not going to turn out pretty well. This is going to be public choice theory." He said, we know who's going to get the benefits. It's going to be whoever seizes political power, and then you're going to split up all the assets with these oligarchs. And one oligarch got the nickel, one got the gold, one got the iron ore, one got the gas. My God, it's a classic thing. This is the way the world works, and if you're not alert enough to see it happening, it'll just continue happening. Now, let's have some good news. The good news is we're all travelling again. And we've got a fabulous contingent of Mancal scholars heading off to Sydney in May, plus Europe, and later the Philippines. And by the way, I'm so glad to see so many scholars. You've got your parents with you tonight. Now, Jenny and I in particular would love you to bring them up. We'd love to meet your parents, because I'm sure they're wondering what on earth you've got involved in. They might have some questions for us. So please let me spend some time with the parents tonight. Now, while I'm here, let me draw attention to just two interesting travel scholarships that will involve two of our scholars attending some very interesting areas in the world, directly affected by the current brutal events taking place in Ukraine. I'll ask Alana Pavlovich to stand forward. That's very easy. Yeah. Lana will participate in the Austrian Economic Centre's Free Market Roadshow. She'll be meeting up with the touring group in May in Milan in Italy. She'll then be involved in a week travelling to Zagreb, capital of Croatia, Belgrade, capital of Serbia, Sarajevo, capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, and then off to Vienna in Austria. Now, just as I was leaving my office, Brett Shear from the Austrian Economic Centre, further information. I've been lucky enough to be about 7 times on this Free Market Roadshow, which is an annual event. They've got a panel of about 100 speakers, and in 44 days they visit 38 capital cities in Europe. I haven't been to all of them, and I've not been to any of these cities that Lana's visiting. So I said to them, listen, you better help me, because I don't know much about these cities. So they've just given me this little quick description, which I learned. I learned a lot from this, just one paragraph. Britt says, the cities that Lana will be travelling to were back then the beautiful metropoles of the southern crown lands of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. All cities look back on a history of more than 1,000 years and are cultural gems. The ethnic groups in the Balkans have fought for their independence for centuries and were Europe's protective wall against the Ottoman Empire until modern times. It was not until the 20th century that the peoples of the Balkans were united, not really voluntarily. In communist Yugoslavia, however, the Balkan people's defensiveness was still felt. Yugoslavia was not a member of the Warsaw Pact, and people found ways, even under communism, to keep some market, some property, and a lot of dignity. In the 1990s, the attempt to preserve the artificially created state of Yugoslavia led to almost 10 years of terrible wars, and a lot of us can remember that. It just went on and on. Today, a new generation is active in Balkan capitals. Trade and commerce and common interests and a well-educated youth unite these countries. Now, I reckon you've got a pretty interesting trip coming up in May, Alana. Now, Nathan Cuthbertson, please step forward. Nathan has been selected to participate in the Atlas Network's Europe Liberty Forum, scheduled for May in Warsaw, Poland. And that's being co-hosted by Atlas and the Economic Freedom Foundation and the Civil Development Forum in Warsaw. This forum brings together partners from the region to discuss challenges facing the region and to discuss barriers to individual freedom and prosperity, and possibly the problems created by about 1 million people just arriving across the border. So I would say for sure that Lana's adventures and Nathan's adventures will see them on this stage next year, telling us in great detail of what the hell's happening in Europe. Thank you and congratulations very much for that. Now, travel is very much in the air, and we wish our CEO, Andrew Reynolds, some happy travels as he departs tonight for the UK. Not bad. you have 3 drinks after the show and then off to the airport. Now listen, as I conclude, please pay attention. As I would like all the scholars, we've got them all here, but I'd like them to be joined by our directors and ambassadors for a group photo on stage, minus masks. Then following that, for the individual one-on-one photos, students should invite those of us who they would like a photo with to come with them across to the photo screen on the back wall there. Take your time. I know how important these one-on-one photos are, and if you'd like to have your photo taken with anyone here, with your parents, there it is. We have a photographer, so please take your time and go on like that. Now, the rest of us, please do the best we can at socialising. We can't run this as a stand-up event, but I can encourage you to take perhaps 2 hours to make your way out. If there's a rule, there's also a way around it, I'll tell you. So, now let me thank our great team at Mancal, the best team we've ever had in our 25 years. And we've been operating under remote circumstances for the most of the last 2 years. And there's rarely is there more than about 4 or 5 of us in the office at any one time, but we decided to have a dinner all together about a month ago, and we found out there were 17 of us. We've never been 17 of us in the one room at one time together. It was really a fantastic experience. Now, I have a vote of thanks coming up here. The vote of thanks will be directed to our young people. I'm often asked why we do all this work at Mancal, and let me state that it's not entirely from benevolence. Let me state it's mainly from rational selfishness. Our Mancal team, including our wonderful group of Mancal ambassadors, learn so much from our interaction with this next generation. A famous writer once said, I won't mention his name because he's Russian. Famous writer once said, the soul is healed by being with young people. Now, I know the older we get, the more healing our souls need. So we are incredibly grateful to the young people surrounding us in the office and on occasions like this tonight. They maintain our passion. They have a sparkle, enthusiasm and zest for living because it is all out there in front of them. Some of the older people are only looking back over their shoulders, back down the tunnel, saying, why didn't we do this or why didn't we do that? Some of them are even suffering from hyperthymesia. Now, this is a condition where they meticulously record every detail of their early childhood to the exclusion of being able to manage the constant flow of the latest information. They would not even know that South Korea voted in a new president yesterday and that Yoon Suk Yeol is good news for Australia. So, to toast the next generation, I say, let you forever continue lifting our spirits, and we drink to your every success as your careers emerge and blossom. Raise your glasses. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you so much.